We've all been there. You're watching the big basketball game and there's a minute left. You plan to meet your friends after the game and you tell them, "I'll be there in a minute." And then a minute rolls by and another minute and another. And before you know it, 15 minutes have gone by and the game hasn't even ended. Why is this? Well, it's all because of intentional fouling. You see, when teams trail late in the game, they have no other choice than to intentionally foul. The trailing team intentionally gives their opponent free throws in hopes of getting the ball back. If they don't foul, the leading team will be able to run out the clock. This strategy can be time-consuming and boring. And unfortunately, it seems like there's no other way around this. But let me tell you, there is another way. It's called the Elam ending. Instead of finishing the game when the clock runs out, the Elam ending eliminates the clock and requires teams to play to a target score. So the first team to score X amount of points wins the game. Getting rid of the game clock will stop teams from intentionally fouling because the only reason teams do this is to preserve time on the clock. The Elam ending gets its name from its creator, Nick Elam. Elam was frustrated that intentional fouls ruined the flow of the game, and he also found that the strategy was ineffective. Teams using the intentional fouling strategy won the game less than 1% of the time. Teams don't intentionally foul because it's an effective strategy. They do it because they have no other choice. So this prompted Elam to come up with the target score system. The first notable use of Elam's system was in the basketball tournament, also known as TBT. It's a 64-team tournament with the winning team claiming $1 million in prizes. This is how the Elam ending works in TBT. The game will be played normally with a clock until there is 4 minutes to go in the game. After that, the first dead ball or clock stoppage will mark the beginning of the Elam period. That means that the clock gets turned off and we set a target score. The target score is simply 8 points added to the leading team's score. So if a team leads 72-70, the target score will be 80. From there, it's simple. The first team to score 80 or more points wins. This ending gained popularity in the basketball community, and a different variation of this has been used in the last 3 NBA All-Star games. Removing intentional fouls isn't the only good thing the Elam ending does. The Elam ending preserves the natural flow of the game. Both teams will be fighting hard to score and defend. And in a normally timed game, this is how basketball is played for the first 47 minutes. It's only when we get to the last minute when the style of play starts to deteriorate. Teams begin to intentionally foul and they call more timeouts. Leading teams begin to play slower and trailing teams begin to play faster. And when a team has a chance to take the lead in the final seconds of the game, we often see rushed shots ending in a poor result. This is all because of the clock. The Elam ending eliminates the clock, thus eliminating these issues. The game ends with real basketball. Another pro of the Elam ending is that every single game will end on a made shot. Once a team makes a shot that puts them at the target score, the game is over. Regardless of the margin of victory, there will always be a shot to win the game. Every single game has a memorable moment. Now, you might be upset that buzzer beaters won't happen in an Elam ending. However, Nick Elam found that in regular basketball, game-winning shots or buzzer beaters only happen 1% of the time. To me, I'd rather have every single game end on a meaningful shot. And let me tell you, a shot that wins a close game in the Elam ending will feel just like a buzzer beater. So hopefully I've convinced you about how great the Elam ending is. But we need to address some of the drawbacks about this system. Unfortunately, the biggest issue with the Elam ending happened in its biggest moment. It was the 2020 NBA All-Star Game. Up until this point, fans were regarding it as one of the best All-Star games in recent memory. Team LeBron led Team Giannis 156-155. Yeah. And the target score was 157. But then, Anthony Davis, who was on Team LeBron, was fouled. That sent him to the free throw line to shoot 2 free throws. Davis only needed to make 1 free throw to win the game, which is pretty easy to do. It was kinda anticlimactic because everyone knew AD would be able to end the game, and he did just that. He made the second free throw, which won the game for Team LeBron. It's kind of a downer to see a great game ending like this, but I have a solution for this. I propose that in the Elam period, free throws should only be 1 shot for 2 points. So in the 2020 All-Star game, AD would have had 1 free throw attempt for 2 points. This would have made things more intense, as it would have been 1 free throw for all the marbles. Had the rule been applied, the game would have continued after Anthony Davis missed his first free throw, and this would have made the game more exciting. The next gripe with the Elam ending is an interesting one. Teams will still intentionally foul in certain situations. Let's say the score is 77 orange team, 75 blue team, and the target score is 78. The orange team has the incentive to intentionally foul here. The blue team needs a 3-pointer to win the game, but if they are fouled, the most they can score with free throws is 2 points, not enough to win the game. Situations like this force the TBT to create a new rule. Any intentional foul during the Elam period will result in 1 technical free throw, and the ball will be returned to the team that was fouled. I don't really like this rule because it's possible a team could commit an unintentional foul and be punished in the same way as a team that committed an intentional foul. The only way this would happen though is if a team committed a blocking foul, because shooting fouls don't apply to this rule. I feel like giving the opponent 1 free throw and the ball back is too harsh of a punishment, but at the same time, you're not supposed to foul, so I guess that's the way it's gonna be. Now, in regular timed basketball, teams will do this exact same thing. They'll be up by 3 and then they'll foul their opponent because their opponent can't possibly tie with just 2 free throws. So it's not like the Elam ending is creating any new problems. But I do think they should only apply the rule when a team is within 3 points of the target score, as that's the only time teams would intentionally foul. Now let's move on to some of the minor gripes about the Elam ending. First off, the length of the game will always be inconsistent, and this will create some record-keeping issues. The Elam period won't always begin at the same time. Sometimes it might start with 3:30 to go in the 4th quarter, and other times it won't start until the 2-minute mark. However, this has to be done. If you were to automatically stop the game at the 4-minute mark, teams would still have the incentive to intentionally foul. But in the current format, if you were to intentionally foul, the clock would stop and the Elam period would begin with your opponent having 2 free throws. Not a very good idea. The length of the game will get even more inconsistent once the Elam period begins. It might take some games only 2 minutes to finish, while other games will take up to 15 minutes. And this is going to create some stat keeping and record keeping issues. For instance, a player might be able to set a rebounding record just because he has extra time in the game. But does all of this really matter? In my opinion, no. A fundamental counter argument to the Elam ending is that we shouldn't change anything because basketball has always been played with a clock. But basketball has had major rule changes in the past, such as the addition of the 24-second shot clock and the 3-point line. The Elam ending is no different than these rule changes. It's not a gimmick. It's a necessary change. And I love the Elam ending so much that I've actually decided to implement it into my own pickup basketball league. Now, we take these games very seriously, and we've actually used a normal game clock in the past, but we decided it would be more fun to adopt the Elam ending. Now, every game has a winning shot, creating a lasting moment. We even use the 1 free throw for all the points rule. Let me hear your opinion about the Elam ending down below in the comments. That's the end of the video. Bye.